I remember growing up at 13 and looking forward to going snowboarding with all my friends at Sundown Ski Mountain. I was living in Fairfield, Iowa, my hometown, and was in 7th grade. At the time, my mother owned a conversion van, which easily held 6 kids with snowboards and gear, so it was perfect for those long trips to the slopes. The weekend finally came, and we were all excited to hit the slopes. The snow quality can be very poor in the Midwest, as some of you may know, but we didn't care. We were just excited to get out on our snowboards and skis and shred some powder. We all loaded into the van at 7 a.m. on Saturday, with my mother driving, and left Fairfield for the somewhat long 3-hour trip. Once we got to the mountain, we all hurriedly put on our gear and hit the slopes in an orderly yet chaotic fashion. Most of the group snowboarded, but one of my friends enjoyed skiing more. He always claimed that his skis were faster than our snowboards and would prove that he was right every time we raced down the mountain, and he raced by us, beating us every time. There are advantages to both skiing and snowboarding. I just mentioned one advantage to skiing is that it is very fast if you get the long racing style skis, especially. One advantage to snowboarding is that it feels like surfing a wave when riding in deep powder. With skis, it is fun as well, but personally, I enjoy the feeling I get while doing a nice carve snowboarding. It's as close to surfing as I could get in the Midwest, that's for sure. I remember enjoying the small snowboard park as well. It had some nice sized jumps, although they were small in comparison to any resort in California. I didn't want to go on too big of a jump, as I was aware of the inherent risks during snowboarding. Another fun thing we enjoyed at the snowboard park were the grind rails. Grind rails are made of metal, so I was careful about jumping on them too much, as they can be dangerous and slippery at times. This was my only 1 year out of all my life I had snowboarded, and I had done so many things that most people couldn't do in 3 to 4 years snowboarding. This was probably the most loved sport that I have, apart from maybe surfing, like I mentioned, but I don't live in Hawaii, so I prefer snowboarding now. Before I snowboarded, growing up for a few years at Hunter Mountain, I skied while attending 1st and 2nd grade. I have been skiing double black diamond slopes since age 9. So at this point, I am pretty good at both skiing and snowboarding. Snowboarding in general is a dangerous sport in my opinion. I luckily have never had any serious injuries snowboarding. Saying that, I have fallen pretty hard and have had the wind knocked out of me on multiple occasions, which is a very unpleasant and painful experience. The rest of the day turned out to be pretty fun for the group, until the last run at least. We had all decided on doing this one last run before we called it quits, and there was a small jump that we had found earlier in the day and had managed to go off the jump without injury. This time was much different. My friend Matt fell hard on his landing off the jump and landed on his left wrist. At the time, we had no idea if he had broken anything, so we called ski patrol and they took him to the lodge for further medical evaluation. Once he was stabilized, we all got into the van and drove Matt to the emergency room in Iowa City. We were all exhausted from the whole experience, including snowboarding all day and helping him get to the hospital and get the medical attention he needed. My mother took Matt into the hospital, and the rest of us waited in the van for what felt like hours. Once she finally returned, she informed us that she was going to stay there overnight with Matt and would drive us down to Fairfield and come back. Once we got back to Fairfield, I slept for 12 hours because I was so exhausted. I look back on that trip, and I had learned through watching my dear friend go through such a painful experience how fragile life can be.